Now on Nightside, gas prices are on the rise again. Why Washington is on the top 10 list for most expensive fuel.
Record high temperatures in your Tuesday forecast, but summer weather won't be around long. I'll tell you about the 20-degree drop in your first alert forecast.
And University of Idaho sent out a letter prohibiting staff from talking about birth control. The rules the letter outlines coming up. You're watching 4 News Now Nightside.
We'll get ready for record high temperatures tomorrow. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Aaron Luna.
And I'm Kirsten O'Connor. You're watching Nightside. The heat is only sticking around for one day. Chris Crocker's here now with how to prepare. Did you say 20 degrees?
Yes, 20-degree drop, but that will just drop us down to average. We're going to be well above tomorrow. 89 degrees, our high temperature forecast for tomorrow. The record tomorrow is 87. That was set back in 1967. Our average high is 69, so we're 20 degrees above average. High temperatures today were well above in the 80s throughout the Spokane area, including 85 degrees at the airport. Not a record, 2 degrees shy of our record, but certainly not even in the ballpark of what you would expect in late September, more like late July. Meanwhile, our temperatures presently are in the 60s and even the 50s. Hayden, Coeur d'Alene, 9 Mile, all in the 50s right now. It's 68 at the airport in Spokane, 59 degrees in Spokane Valley. Zooming out, we find 58 at Omak, 66 right now in Lewiston. We're in the lower 50s in Sandpoint and 48 degrees in Colville. Your forecast for tomorrow after a morning low down in the lower 50s. We'll be warming up quickly, close to 90 degrees by 4 o'clock. Blue skies and sunshine throughout the day. A little bit of wildfire haze on the horizon. I'll be back to tell you more about that big drop in our temperatures in just a few minutes. Kirsten?
Chris, thank you. Well, I'm sure you've seen it. Gas prices averaging closer to $5 a gallon every week. And while we did see some relief at the pump in the past week in Washington, they have jumped yet again.
Yeah, yet again. Rania Kaur is in studio tonight with what's driving up that cost. Rania.
Aaron, Kirsten, Washington makes the top 10 in 2 AAA lists it probably doesn't want to be on. Most expensive gas and largest weekly increase. The average gas price this week in Spokane County is $4.58 a gallon. Statewide, that number is significantly higher at $4.92. It's about a difference of a quarter in comparison to last week. And for most people, it's adding up. Getting gas at 7-Eleven on 2nd and Division,
I've watched it just, get higher and higher,
is a little below the county average.
If I'm on the way to work, I get gas before I arrive, and if I'm coming back home, I get gas before I get here.
But that doesn't make a difference to Zion Wilson in Spokane.
It's like walking into a Disneyland and knowing that you're going to have to pay $10 for, a water bottle.
The cost to fuel up, enough to cause some frustration.
Terrible. I have a business, so I had to raise my prices like everybody else.
But it's not stopping these drivers from paying at the pump. Some try to find relief by crossing state lines. Cooney County's average is just $4.34 in comparison to Spokane's $4.58.
I think it's uncalled for myself. We shouldn't have to pay that much for gas. We got plenty of oil and here in the United States. So break loose some of them oil rigs and drop the price for us common people.
AAA Washington says there are multiple reasons for the price increase. In a statement to 4 News Now, they wrote, quote, "While the war in Ukraine may not have a direct impact on Eastern Washington pump prices, the conflict has led to an overall squeeze on fuel supplies nationwide. In addition, fall is when refineries shut down to complete yearly maintenance work that can further decrease fuel supplies. For example, a refinery in Washington is shut down for maintenance. Only 70% of the supply is going to the west side."
Well, I feel that it shouldn't be increased, but at the same time, I do understand the economic needs of the world.
In Spokane tonight, Rania Kaur, 4 News Now.
Well, for the first time in 16 years, Spokane County will have a new sheriff. Two candidates are facing off to replace Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich. Both are Republicans with extensive law enforcement backgrounds. These are the two people vying for your vote. John Knowles is the current undersheriff, and Wade Nelson is a retired detective with the sheriff's office. Both worked closely with current Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich over the years, but only Knowles received his endorsement. They both say rising crime rates and understaffed agencies and homelessness are some of their top priorities. Sheriff Knezevich recently unveiled a new plan to clear Camp Hope in a matter of weeks, and whoever is elected will deal with the aftermath of that choice. 4 News Now is asking each candidate their plans for Camp Hope. Tomorrow, you'll meet these candidates and see their vision for the position.
Well, changes are on the way for people living at Camp Hope. We're told that fencing will soon be going up around the perimeter, and along with that, a curfew. Julie Garcia, executive director of Jules Helping Hands, told 4 News Now that fence will go up Wednesday. The fence will have one secured point of entry, and a curfew will be from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. unless a camper has work release. If they leave the camp between those hours, they won't be allowed back in. Garcia believes this could make a big difference for the neighbors in the surrounding areas.
Also helps with the optic of the neighborhood. If this camp is what they say is the crime in this neighborhood, this should mitigate most of that.
They're also working with the campers to get them housing ready. They've set up a process to streamline getting them Social Security cards, IDs, and birth certificates. They'll also be offering classes on responsible renting, employment, money management, and more. Garcia expects they'll lose about 10% of the campers when those enforcements go into place. We now know that the Moses Lake woman believed to have been killed by her husband recently asked for a separation. Charles Bergman is accused of killing his wife, Teresa Bergman. Her body was found last week by a farmer in a remote part of Lincoln County. Court records show that Teresa was hit by a thin, hard object, and detectives believe it was a shovel Charles bought before they disappeared. Charles was arrested in Pennsylvania and is now in the process of being extradited back to Washington.
A 78-year-old Hayden man died following a house fire over the weekend. Investigators say fire crews pulled Gary Hetrick from the burning house on West James Cow Drive near Honeysuckle and Ramsey Saturday night. He was taken to Kootenai Health, then flown to Harborview in Seattle, and that is where he died. There's no word yet on what caused that fire.
It's time now for a look at sports. Let's send it over to Alex Crescenti.
Well, Aaron, for many college basketball teams around the country, Monday marked the first day of practice, and that's no difference for the schools in our area. But for the Washington State Cougars, they're going to be without one of their top players for the foreseeable future, as junior center Deshaun Jackson announced he would be sidelined for an indefinite amount of time as he takes care of some medical issues, but did not disclose exactly what those issues were. In his 2 seasons at WSU, Jackson averaged more than 6 points and 4 rebounds a game. However, he did release a message on Monday assuring everyone that he is fine.
I just want everyone to respect my privacy and process at this time, as I don't want to draw any undue attention to myself or distract my team from their goal. My family and friends understand what's going on and are giving me the support that I need at this moment, and I just want to move forward with the process.
And after having Monday off, the Seattle Mariners are set to start their final stretch of the regular season. With just over a week to go, according to Baseball Reference, they have better than a 99% chance of making the playoffs as they hold a 3.5-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles for that final wild card spot. And with just 10 games left, the team will now start their final series against AL West rival Texas. Robbie Ray will get the nod in Game 1 from T-Mobile Park tomorrow. And coming up a bit later on in sports, we're going to have more from the Washington State Cougars football team as they choked away a 12-point fourth quarter lead over the weekend, as well as hear from Pete Carroll following the Seahawks loss yesterday afternoon. Aaron, Kirsten, send it back over to you.
Thanks, Alex. Well, University of Idaho sent out a letter to its faculty discussing abortion and birth control at the school. What that letter outlines for students coming up.
A deadly crash involving 2 Chattaroy teenagers shocked the community. How everyone came together to stand by the grieving family and the teenagers still in the hospital.
If you think you have a fall cold that lasts 2 or more weeks, there may be an over-the-counter option to ease your symptoms. What to look for in your medicine cabinet ahead on Nightside.
Track live radar on the 4 News Now weather app.
4 News Now is brought to you by the Tin Roof. Inland Empire 6. 6 local Honda dealerships dedicated to putting your Keister in a Honda. And your Keister will thank you for it because it'll be riding in comfort, style, and America's most fuel-efficient full-line automaker. And that can save your Keister at the gas pumps. Not to mention every Honda is packed with high-tech safety features that keep all your little Keisters safe and happy. See your local Honda dealer today. Honda gets the Inland Northwest.
There's a new face in local news. Kirsten O'Connor joins Aaron Luna and Chris Crocker weeknights on 4 News Now. Committed to our community, invested in you and your family's safety. Get to know Kirsten O'Connor weeknights on 4 News Now.
New tonight, Kimmel is back in Brooklyn.
Everybody thinks people in Brooklyn are rude. The people in this city are as warm as that weird air that blows out of the subway grates.
Plus, Amy Schumer.
I'm freaking out.
And Charlemagne the God. Jimmy Kimmel Live from Brooklyn. New tonight on ABC.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. The Silverado with the 2.7-liter turbo engine travels over 400 miles on a full tank of gas. Plus, now during truck season, get a $1,000 accessory allowance toward a new Chevy truck with accessories. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
My son's name was Carson. He was just the light of my life. His anxiety and his inability to sleep caused him to purchase a pill from Snapchat, and we know that it's what killed him. Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers is bringing awareness to this. She personally reached out to me. She took the time to hear Carson's story. She has been driven in trying to prevent further loss.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rodgers, and I approve this message.
4 News Now is brought to you by R&R RV.
New tonight on Nightside, the University of Idaho recently sent out a letter to its faculty that says they cannot discuss abortion or birth control at the school. The memo was sent out by the university's general counsel saying staff cannot promote, perform, or counsel in favor of abortion. This letter comes after Idaho passed laws restricting abortion following the Supreme Court overturning of Roe versus Wade. The University of Idaho issued the following statement about the new policy, saying in part, quote, "The University of Idaho follows all laws. This is a challenging law for many and has real ramifications for individuals in that it calls for individual criminal prosecution. This guidance was set to help our employees understand the legal significance and possible actions of this new law passed by the Idaho legislature." Rebecca Gibran, the CEO of Planned Parenthood Northwest, responded to the letter saying, quote, "We always knew extremists wouldn't stop at banning abortion. They'd target birth control next." For the full statements from both University of Idaho and Planned Parenthood, head to KXLY.com.
Around the nation tonight, abortion laws are being enacted. Women's access to abortion is becoming even more limited following the overturning of Roe versus Wade. A near total ban on all abortions with no exceptions for rape or incest is now being put in place in Arizona. A judge there ruled late Friday that a law from 1901 must be enforced. Activists in Arizona say they hope the emotions inside the clinics exist outside the medical centers too. One says she hopes that anger will translate at the polls in November, especially with women. In Phoenix, some women who are registered Republicans are showing up to battle the ban.
Even for Republicans, it's not an issue that just Democratic women face. It's an issue that all women face.
At the Tucson clinic, anti-abortion activists believe overturning Roe will pay off for conservatives this midterm.
Christian, I believe God is pro-life, Jesus is pro-life, and every single life has value. So I think that it's a very good thing.
Planned Parenthood Arizona has filed a notice of appeal as well as an emergency stay. While the legal battle continues, abortion services in the state have stopped out of fear that doctors and women could face prison time for abortion services.
Well, the inland Northwest is heating back up. Chief Meteorologist Chris Crocker has your forecast with temperatures that could break records for this time of year.
Yes, we are heading close to 90 degrees tomorrow. Here we are in late September. Tonight, mostly clear skies, 51 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, a high close to 90. Sunshine, light winds. May see a little bit of wildfire smoke. We have several active fires still burning, and that could be seeping its way into to the region. We have a ridge of high pressure over the western United States. One area of low pressure zipping by to the north. That will not be impacting us. However, as we get into Tuesday, we'll have a nice strong southwesterly flow bringing up our temperatures while we await a cold front that is due in on Wednesday. That's going to pick up our winds, bring us a chance of showers late Wednesday, and also usher in some cooler weather. With the clouds, we'll see cooler conditions on Wednesday, not as cool as on Thursday. Behind the front for Thursday, we'll have that big drop in our temperatures, more than 20 degrees. We'll be back down around average. Overnight lows tonight will be in the 40s and 50s. High temperatures tomorrow, mostly in the 80s, just a couple of 90s on the map in Grand Coulee, Lewiston, Spokane Valley, Deer Park. You might also get into the 90s. We drop down to 78 for Wednesday. Chance of showers coming in late in the day. In fact, the best chance of rain will be in the overnight between Wednesday and Thursday, although there's a chance of lingering showers during the day on Thursday. High of 67 and more than a 20-degree drop. And then, boy, what a weekend. Chamber of Commerce weather, blue skies, sunshine, high temperatures in the comfort zone. We will be in the 70s. I'll be back in just a few minutes with an update on Hurricane Ian. The news doesn't get any better. Kirsten?
Thank you, Chris. It's been 12 days since a car crash sent 2 Chattaroy teenagers to the hospital, and one of them later died. The crash has left the community there in shock, and neighbors are standing with the families impacted and doing what they can to give back. The restaurant Biggie's has organized a taco fundraiser to try and offset the family's medical expenses. The staff says they'll be serving chicken and beef tacos with a side of chicken or rice for $10 a plate, and they'll also sell raffle tickets for items donated by local businesses in the area. The owner of Biggie's tells 4 News Now that the Chattaroy community is strong.
I felt like, why not allow us to lift them up, walk alongside with them as they're going through the hardest thing they've ever gone through.
So far, they've raised over $800 in donations in 2 days.
With more people moving to Spokane, districts need new borders. What City Council plans to do next?
Later tonight on Nightline, a massive storm is threatening Florida. The Tampa Bay area bracing for what could be its first direct hurricane hit in 100 years. And chaos in Russia. Vladimir Putin's new military draft fuels a mass exodus.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
What do you get when ice cold beer, gourmet burgers, sports, and the Pint House brand come together? Good times. That's right. Pint House Burgers and Brews is now open at the former Good Times Pub location in the Spokane Valley. It will always be good times at the new Valley Pint House Burgers and Brews.
My husband has diabetes.
Even with health insurance, we're having a hard time affording our medications.
Thankfully, we have Patty Murray fighting for us in the U.S. Senate. She kept at it till Congress finally lowered the cost of prescription drugs.
And capped insulin for seniors at $35 a month.
Now we'll save thousands every year. We know when Patty is back in the other Washington.
She is working for us.
I'm Patty Murray, and I approve this message. This home is my dream home. My mother's from the South. Her favorite tree was a magnolia tree. I asked the real estate agent, is that a magnolia tree? And she said yes, and it was almost as though my mother was speaking to me saying, yeah, this is the house, you know? BECU made all of this possible. Historically speaking, my ancestors couldn't always buy homes, and that's how you build wealth, right? With this home, I have something to pass along to my family.
Get exactly what you want. Wendell Ford is ready to help you find that vehicle you've been wanting to buy. Built for you. F-150, Bronco, Bronco Sport, Explorer, Mach-E, and Maverick. Here's how it works. Make a list of options you want. Wendell will work with you on financing to fit your budget. And then we will order the vehicle of your dreams or select from current inventory. Get exactly what you want. Built for you. Wendell Ford at the Y. Drive for generations.
What's the only thing better than one Pint House Burgers and Brews? How about 2? We are now open in the Spokane Valley. The same great sports and music videos, friendly staff and servers, gourmet burgers and ice-cold brews. Pint House Burgers and Brews, now open in the Spokane Valley.
4 News Now is brought to you by the Satay Bistro.
Thanks for staying with Nightside. It is officially fall, and that means leaves are going to change colors, pumpkins, apple picking, but it also means some seasonal allergies. An allergist at Cleveland Clinic says many people may not even realize they suffer from allergies, but being aware of them and taking action to help your symptoms can make you feel better.
Patients will think that they have colds, but the thing about these colds are they are every single year. It happens for more than a couple weeks. It'll go on for seasons at a time.
Doctors say there are ways to ease allergies, including over-the-counter treatments like nasal spray and antihistamines. Try to avoid what triggers allergies, which in some cases can start with your pet, especially if they go outside.
And what pet doesn't go outside? Well, the nation is watching Florida as Hurricane Ian heads towards Tampa, a city which hasn't been hit by a storm that strong in 100 years. Chris Crocker is tracking that storm right now. Chris, what are you seeing?
Well, right now we are watching a Category 2 Ian, expected to strengthen, as Aaron mentioned, to a major hurricane working its way toward the western tip of Cuba tonight. 110-mile-per-hour sustained winds and working its way to the north. Here's Miami. Let's zoom out and we'll show you the projected path right now of Ian. Again, a Category 2 hurricane presently as it makes its way into the very warm Gulf of Mexico. That is going to feed this storm. It is expected to become a Category 4 storm sometime tomorrow, potentially making landfall right around the St. Petersburg, Tampa area sometime on Wednesday as a strong Category 3 storm. So they are definitely battening the hatches. This is not a drill, the governor is telling them, and to prepare for the worst there in the Tampa area as Ian makes its way north. Our meteorologist Matt Gray, Florida native, knows his way around a hurricane. It'll be interesting to get his insights on Ian as the week goes on. Meanwhile, let's take a look at our pick of the night tonight at a much quieter body of water close to home. This is near Bayview. Today, Hannah McAnally shared this gorgeous photo. That looks like the place to be. Bayview is just a magical location there in North Idaho on the southern tip of Lake Pend Oreille. They have got a very nice world there and some sailboats out on the water on a 85-degree day in late September. Kirsten?
It is picturesque. Thank you, Chris. Well, more people in Spokane means some redistricting changes are on the way, and you have about a week to let Spokane's redistricting board know your thoughts about adjustments to city districts.
Well, those changes are being made to keep up with data collected in the 2020 census. The population grew just a little over 20,000 from 2010 to 2020. This doesn't add more council members to represent your district, and the board says most people won't be moved into a different voting district. Right now, there are 3 neighborhood councils: East Central, Riverside, and West Hills. Those are split between council districts, but one proposed map makes it so that they aren't divided. 2 maps make adjustments near the East Central and Sprague Avenue border. The other map dips down into Latah Valley. This moves District 2 people into District 3.
Would really invite the public to give us some feedback on whether you like the idea of each neighborhood council not being split. That's really the big choice, I think, that's out there for the bulk of the city.
The redistricting board is having a town hall meeting next Tuesday where they'll take up public comment. The city's survey to share your thoughts on the maps is available until Sunday. You can head over to KXLY.com for a link to that survey. There may soon be a new tool in the fight against COVID-19 for kids. Today, Pfizer and BioNTech announced they've submitted an emergency use authorization request to the FDA, requesting an updated booster shot for 5 to 11-year-olds. Officials say this shot focuses on new variants and the original vaccine. The 10-milligram dose of Pfizer's bivalent vaccine is already authorized for people 12 and older.
Well, COVID-19 isn't the only big health threat the United States has been dealing with in the last couple of years. Drug overdoses were rising during the pandemic, according to Fair Health, which is a nonprofit organization that helps people break down health costs. During the same time, fewer people were diagnosed with substance use disorder. Alcohol was responsible for 52% of cases last year. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, roughly 109,000 people had a deadly drug overdose in 2021. That is a 51% hike from 2019.
The Washington State Cougars coming off a massive collapse in the fourth quarter this weekend against Oregon. Coming up in sports, Alex Crescenti has more on how they're responding this week.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
4 News Now is brought to you by Foothills Mazda.
What happened to Sherry Papini?
Sherry Papini.
Now, newly released, her call for help. Please. Video inside the interrogation room.
I didn't do anything wrong.
You're not telling the truth.
And her dramatic police interview.
This is very weird for me because I know that you know everything.
But what don't you know?
There's still one piece of this crazy puzzle.
What are the chances?
The 2020 event special, Friday night at 9/8 Central on ABC.
I'm Mark Peterson. This summer, the Extreme Team and Horizon Credit Union ready to take on the next task. If you know of a project that needs an Extreme Team makeover, go to KXOY.com to nominate it. 4 News Now Extreme Team brought to you by Horizon Credit Union.
These doors are closed because it's too dangerous to ask employees to work here anymore. Think about that. For decades, Patty Murray has spearheaded reckless policies that lead to shortages, inflation, and so much crime that you can't even get a cup of coffee from the hometown shop on Capitol Hill, even if you could still afford it. 30 years in the Senate, and this is what she has to show for it? If she won't do the job, I will. I'm Tiffany Smiley, and I approve this message.
92.9 ZZU.
The Book of Mormon is the best musical of this century. The 9-time Tony Award winner is genius, brilliant, phenomenal. The Book of Mormon is the funniest musical of all time. It's the gold standard for comedy that goes further than any other comedy in history. You won't believe how funny it is. You won't believe how much heart it has. And when it's over, you won't believe how much you'll want to see it again. The Book of Mormon, October 28th through 30th, First Interstate Center for the Arts. Tickets at BroadwaySpokane.com.
Well, 48 hours later, and there's still got to be a bitter taste in the mouth of Washington State fans as they saw their Cougs blow a 12-point fourth quarter lead to Oregon. And now we can talk about how maybe they were too conservative on the offensive end of the ball or questionable officiating by the Pac-12 rearing their ugly head once again. But there's an underrated storyline that took place in the final minute or so of the game that ended up being very significant to some. Washington State entered this game as 6.5-point underdogs, and with 1:07 left in the game, the Cougs were down by 3, so still covering, but Cam Ward gets picked off, and the Oregon defender takes it to the house to make it a 10-point game. So majority of the experts, they had the Cougs plus 6.5, definitely sweating it out right now. Just wait, though, because it gets crazier here. With 15 seconds left, Washington State is at their own 39, and Ward is just going to chuck this duck up in the air, and he's going to find Donovan Ollie, who comes down with it on the 1-yard line. So all of a sudden, it's the Ducks' turn to blow the cover, and they would on the very next play as Nakia Watson's going to leap over the pile and make it a 3-point game. Once again, the game ends in one of the baddest beats you are ever going to see. Now, that still ultimately doesn't change the end result, but today head coach Jake Dicker was able to point to some positives from this weekend.
Obviously, 3 straight red zone stands made that game feel a lot better, kept us in it. You know, there's a lot of, momentum there. We got a 3-and-out off of a sudden change in a critical situation. But vice versa, you're not going to win a game not stopping the run, okay, and giving up that many explosive plays. I think there's communication issues that we had to address, and I think we did, and I think they're all fixable and correctable, and, we'll learn from that. I thought special teams played a very solid game. So, like I said, we've addressed them this morning. We've looked at it, we've flushed it, and we're on to Cal.
Cougs will look to get back in the win column this weekend as they welcome in the 3-1 Cal Golden Bears for homecoming. That'll be the final home game until late October for the Cougs. And the Eastern Washington Eagles are also a team coming off a tough loss this weekend. In the fourth quarter on Saturday, they found themselves down double digits, but Gunnar Talkington leading the charge back. He finds Nolan Ulm in the corner of the end zone to give the Eagles the lead. but after a late turnover in the quarter, Sean Chambers of the Bobcats is going to have the designed run up the middle, breaking a few tackles along the way, and he's in for the score with less than 4 minutes to play. The Bobcats didn't even have a running back they brought with them, and Montana State holds on for the win as Eastern gets their first Big Sky loss on the season. But as if the last couple of weeks were rough, not going to get any easier this weekend. As of right now, the Eagles are set to play the Florida Gators out of the SEC this Saturday afternoon. But with Hurricane Ian on the way, both school ADs are monitoring the situation. I spoke to officials over at Eastern earlier today, and they tell me the plan is to fly down to Gainesville on Thursday. So we will have to wait and see what happens as the week progresses. And the Seattle Seahawks are also another team in the Pacific Northwest coming off a loss this weekend, this time to the previously 0-2 Atlanta Falcons, as Marcus Mariota did just enough to win in a city that he's had lots of successes in. The good news for the Seahawks, though, the offense seems to be, coming alive a little bit, putting up 23 points after not scoring for more than 6 quarters the previous 2 weeks.
It looked like the kind of game we've been hoping to see, where there was balance and we protected and we ran the ball some and guys making their plays and we converted on third down, all those things. Didn't turn the ball over to the last play of the game. So a lot of good things there and that we can build on.
Seahawks will now travel out to Detroit this upcoming weekend for a matchup with the seemingly resurgent Detroit Lions, who offense also has come alive themselves. A lot of kneecaps getting bitten there. 4 News Now. We'll be right back.
If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. Oh wait, there is. Bring your friends. Good morning, America. GMA 7A. Now that's how you start your day.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app. At 4 News Now, we believe you should expect more from local news. Our team is committed to a community conversation and bringing you information you need when and where you need it. Numerica believes in and supports that mission.
We actually have a new service that we're providing with video banking. We're here to really help them and connect on a way that other institutions really can't.
If you are a person with a disability who needs an assistance animal, then you are protected under the Fair Housing Act. You have the right to request an assistance animal as a reasonable accommodation in housing. Assistance animals perform tasks or provide other assistance, such as emotional support. A landlord may not charge a pet deposit or fee or limit the breed or size of an assistance animal. If you have experienced housing discrimination, please contact Northwest Fair Housing Alliance.
The coolest cars, custom Jeeps, and tricked-out trucks are rolling into Max Auto Sports for the Maxed Out event. Right now, race into savings. 0 payments till January 2023. 0 gas costs for 6 months. 0 cost lifetime warranty. 4,000 hours over KBB, plus $500. That's $4,500 over KBB for your trade. The max savings during the Maxed Out event. 6 days only. It all ends Tuesday night. Now at Max Auto Sports.
I think at Hospice of Spokane, it's not just a job, it's a career, but it's also a passion. Nurses, the social workers, the chaplains, the health aides, they just do a phenomenal job and they get to know the clients. They don't come to treat just the client, they come to embrace the family as a whole.
To serve with the region's #1 hospice team, visit hospiceofspokane.org.
See breaking news in your area or have a story idea? Contact 4 News Now.
For things to know about your weather, record highs tomorrow. Air quality may be in the moderate range at times. Showery midweek and a cool down is coming.
Thank you, Chris. Darth Vader's voice will live on with and without James Earl Jones. He's been recording the legendary Star Wars villain since the 1977, but the 91-year-old actor hasn't done any voice work for the franchise since 2019. According to Vanity Fair, Jones took part in an artificial intelligence program that helped recreate his voice for future projects. A Ukrainian startup called Respeecher worked on developing a version of Jones's voice which was featured in the Disney Plus miniseries Obi-Wan Kenobi. Vanity Fair also reports Jones signed off on the deal to allow his voice to be used in future Lucasfilm projects through AI and archival recordings. Alex does a pretty good Darth Vader. Maybe he'll...
Oh, let's hear it.
No. Don't set me up like that. Come on now. I really thought I could get it. No, I don't. No.
Come on, how about a Luke, I'm your father?
No, he never actually says Luke, I'm your father. He just says I am your father.
No,
That's a misconception.
That was a test. See?